Today we are on to welcome Kat Anselmo to the show today. I'm very happy to have her on. She talks about so many amazing things. She is a health coach, also a yoga teacher, right? So many of these things they interplay with each other, and they're really tools of mastery. I find like when we kind of own our mind and have agency of bodies, we really can kind of take control of our lives, right? And developing our thought processes is something that she really likes to talk about, and really having agency over the foundations of our own internal landscape, right? And once we start to develop these things and navigate that, it's really can start fulfillment in our own life. So very excited to have her on today. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited about this podcast.
Absolutely. So I'm very curious to hear your story and how you got into wellness and all the avenues of service that you're doing today.
Yeah, I'm really excited too.
Awesome. So like what did you do to get into there? Like walk me through that process. Like what was the spark that got you interested in being of service today?
Yeah, well, it started many years ago when my, at that time, boyfriend got sick from one day to the next day. So doctor couldn't help, and we were desperate for 2 years that we decided to do our own research. So we asked Dr. Google. I remember he typed in, how can I find my balance again? And yoga and meditation popped up. The moment he started to do yoga and meditation, something shifted. So he was smiling again, he was alive again. And after being together for 8 years, we decided to separate. And I was in a really dark place. So I thought if meditation and yoga and mindset work helped him, they will help me too. So I started my journey. I realized as well that life is really short. So one day you can be super happy, and the next day everything can change. This is what happened to us. So I decided as well to quit my job and sign up a 1 year contract with myself.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So it sounds like these things kind of interested you and they really helped you on your own path, right? And then I find
Yes.
that a lot of us when we start to get into the space of wellness and
Mhm.
self mastery in a sense, we really kind of get on the path of being of service. What I find for a lot of people, it seems like to be the case for you as well.
Yes.
So tell me, like, how has being a health coach and yoga teacher influenced your own journey in the way that you help other people, right? Because I feel like when it comes to wellness, like there's so many different aspects of that, but is there like a unique style that you kind of help people with and kind of take control of their minds with those specific tools?
Yeah, I think that, for example, I started with yoga. And well, it's actually movement was what changed everything for me. Because I always say if you sleep 10 minutes more or less, it doesn't matter. But if you move, it matters. So when people feel lost, or have many clients that they don't know where to start, they don't have a purpose, I always say start with movement, because through movement, I realized that consistency is everything. So if you are able to change your body through consistency and intention, you can apply the same power in, in any area of your life. So you just need to show up every day, just a little, and this can change your body and your mind. Because if you feel good, yeah, if you see yourself like, if you feel good, then you have a better life, right? So it's connected.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love the movement aspect of it because the movement, it really helps with so many different things, like being able to think properly, even, right? Just being able to have that level of consistency
Mm-hmm.
that you mentioned, because it's not what we do sometimes, but we do on a consistent day to day basis that really creates our habits, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And I think too, like doing something every day for yourself, it's as well an act of self love. And when you show up every day, then, everything is connected. So you show up every day, you feel proud of yourself, you change your body, you change your mindset. So one simple step can really change your life.
Absolutely. It's all about those simple steps, right? Because the more progress we make, like the more growth we have, obviously, but it's not about being
Mm,
perfect, it's about progress. And I find
absolutely.
that once we start making those small wins and build this momentum, it just kind of creates more fun in that process too.
Yes, absolutely. That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's because I think the most of the people, I mean, I started so many times to go to the gym. I remember when I am originally from Italy, but I grew up in Germany, as you probably can hear in my accent. And I signed so many times for the gym, and then I just didn't go because I thought I have to move for 1 hour or 30 minutes. So it I never committed. Yeah, I always failed. But the moment I started with small steps, everything changed. So I think this is the problem. The people, want to exercise for 1 hour, 30 minutes, but yeah, you don't need to. 10 minutes is enough, and then it becomes a habit, as you said, and then it becomes part of your system. So, for example, I can't go out without move my body. It's like brushing my teeth. So I feel bad if I don't do it, yeah, because I know how I feel when I'm doing it. It's like brushing your teeth. You feel clean, right? So, and the same goes with exercising.
Yeah, for sure. It's like first we make our habits, then our habits make us, right? You kind of integrate these things. And like you said, it becomes part of
Yeah,
who you are.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
it's
I love
like
what you said. Yeah, the habits make us. Yes, I love that.
absolutely like because we just to the level of mastery within ourselves, we have to have that consistency, right? This internal things that we do, it's really going to create that outer experience for us, right? So just make sure that we have that
Hmm.
consistency and intentionality, right? It's not just about doing these
Hmm.
things, but about being intentional and
Hmm.
deliberate as well.
Hmm. Yeah, 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 absolutely. And if you start one thing and you you see the results, then you believe more in yourself, and then you realize that actually everything is possible in life if you uh, make it as a habit and you just show up a little every day.
Yeah, I love that because once you do that, you start to build this belief within yourself, right? And we start to build that identity
Hmm.
and those consistent promises on a day-to-day basis. So that's where
Yeah,
like you start to, you know, stack the wins in a sense.
absolutely. Yes, that's true.
So how do you recommend we start to develop our thoughts, right? Because it's such an important aspect of our reality, like developing our high quality thoughts.
Hmm.
And I find that a lot of us were
Hmm.
thinking things that we don't really want to think, and we're kind of carrying around
Hmm.
this energy that is kind of outdated in a sense. How do we kind of update our software and become more integrated in our own lives?
Yeah, I think, well, there are many practice words, but one I found really powerful is I'm doing this every morning for myself, is saying affirmations every day because your mind listens to what you say. Yeah. And if you say positive things to yourself, then you start to change your thinking.
Yeah, like the power of affirmations, right? Because
Yeah. Yeah.
when we have this internal dialogue that is negative, it's going to kind
Hmm.
of have an outward effect towards our actions, right? But we have this empowerment with ourselves, then we're more likely to take that
Hmm.
positive directive action, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yes. I always say, I mean, your mind is your best friend. You have to create a good relationship. Yeah. How you talk, it's so important how you talk to yourself. I mean, you have to see yourself as your own best friend. If you say negative things like, I'm ugly, or can you imagine you would say to your best friend or to any person, you are ugly, you are not able to do this, and you are a loser. How would your relationship look like if you would talk like this with your friend or a colleague? or your neighbors, yeah, you had a really bad relationship. And I think you have to treat yourself like you are your best friend. So you have to be really aware of what you think.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what are other things we can to develop our thoughts? I'm sure yoga plays a role in that for you. Has
Yeah.
that played a role? And also, what can we do to begin that, if so?
Yeah. So like yoga, with yoga, I connected with myself. And you spend as well so much time with yourself because you do your own practice. I think this is really important if you start yoga, take classes, but to do as well your own practice because when you spend time with yourself, you discover who you are. Yeah, and I think it's really important because many people doesn't know who they are, and if you don't know who you are, how do you know what you want? And I discovered this through yoga because I connected with myself with through movement and the breath, right?
Yeah, I really like that. It's like almost kind of spending time in solitude, right? Just getting to know who you are and asking yourself these questions that, just contemplating things like what do you want in your life and all these things
Mm-hmm.
that kind of build a sense of internal fortitude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really important, yeah, because that's the only way to be aware of your thoughts, to be aware of yourself, and connecting with yourself is really important. We spend so much time with other people, but we always avoid to spend time with ourselves. I think that's the reason because many people avoid meditation. Because if you meditate, you have to confront yourself. Yeah, and for most of the people, it's really difficult to spend time with themselves because then they see you know, they see everything. You spend time with yourself, you can observe all your thoughts. You realize what is inside you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And yeah, and many people they push this away. Yeah, but I think it's really important to stay with your thoughts. If you have bad thoughts, then accept it. Why? Where are they coming from?
Yeah, for
That.
sure.
Mm, mm,
So you kind of carve away the aspects that you don't necessarily want or are no longer serving you, right? Because we're carrying around these things that they may no longer be in alignment with our vision going forward, right? So just being able to
mhm.
evaluate these things and adjust them in a way that works.
Yeah.
Awesome. So if people want to get started with yoga, is there a process you recommend? Like how does someone get started with that and go from there?
So I would definitely say if you have never done yoga, to go to a yoga studio. And many people, so I met many people that say, I don't like yoga, but it's like to say, I don't like pasta. Yeah. What kind of pasta you don't like? Yeah. Because there are so many different yoga yoga art that you can do, yoga practices. And in the beginning, when I started the yoga journey, it was for me really important to find my teacher. So you have to find your teacher. So if you go to a class and you don't like it, then you have to find out, okay, what is it what I actually didn't like? Yeah, maybe it was the energy of the yoga studio. Yeah, because I think it's really important if you go to a yoga studio that you feel like home. Yeah, and or was it the yoga teacher or was it the practice? So I think before you when you start, try different yoga styles. I think this is really important because when I started yoga, I didn't like it at all. And I just did it because I saw how my at that time boyfriend changed, and that was the main reason because I stayed with the yoga practice. And yeah, this is what I would suggest. So if you start yoga, try many different yoga style, try many different yoga teacher, and try different yoga studios until you find your teacher, your yoga studio, and your practice.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes sense. So there's different types of yoga, like various different styles, and just like anything, like let's find what works for us and do some experimentation. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. You have to do experimentation. Yes, and give always more opportunities. Yeah, so if you didn't like a class, give another. I always say give people and situation three opportunities. And if you realize after the third opportunity that it's still not for you, then it's not for you.
Yeah. Just being able to kind of take advantage of the opportunity while it's there, right? And there's so many different
Hmm.
opportunities that exist, but like sometimes we have to filter, right? Because a lot of us, there's so many different things out there, but like what works for us, right? And settling on that
Hmm.
thing can be very impactful and kind of develop that practice and move along as it goes. And do you think like it's a skill in how we develop these things, like get better over time with these practices?
Yeah, the more it's like learning a language, right? So the more you practice, the more you become better. But I think in the beginning, it's really important to have a teacher because you can do so many things wrong. So it's better in the beginning to have someone until you have body awareness. And then when you have body awareness, you can adjust yourself. But yeah, it's like everything in life. It's always good to have a teacher in the beginning. And then when you know how to do it, then you can practice on your own.
100%. So having a teacher and a guide sounds like it's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, because you can move faster. Yeah, you can learn faster with a guide instead of doing it alone. And maybe, I mean, the journey it's always nicer with someone. And then if you have like a level, then I believe it's really important to do it on your own.
That makes sense because a lot of us we try to do things on our own. We can do things right for a while, right? And but I find that when we grab a mentor or whatever it is that we're trying to practice, it's someone who has been where you want to be and has the results that you want. Just makes
Mhm.
things so much faster, so much easier. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, that's so true. That's so true. We can be so much faster if we have someone. Yeah.
for sure,
Especially as you said, if someone have done it already.
yeah, just being willing to ask for help, and
Yes.
of course, there's a lot we can do on our own, right? But having these
Yeah.
things and these tools and because
Hmm.
sometimes we may not know exactly what we're doing or maybe missing some things and this can kind of help fill in the gaps as
Hmm.
well, so just kind of always going to the next level, it's always a good idea for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
So what's your approach to wellness overall, because health coaching is such a awesome topic, right? Because many people, they need help and they don't really know
Hmm.
what direction to go in. So what do you have people do to start with? Like, is there foundational principles you work with? Like, what are the basics in a sense?
Yeah, I always say like in life we have to have a balance. Yeah. And it's really important to check in with yourself and then to see where you are. Yeah. For example, if you are in a great relationship, but and you eat broccoli every day, but you are doing a work that you don't enjoy. Yeah, this is poison. So you can't be happy. So you have to analyze, okay, which area is taking me energy? Yeah, which area needs some work? So for example, if you don't like your job that you are doing, maybe you start something on the side and then you build something else. So I think checking in with yourself, it's really important and many people miss that. So I believe it's the key, yeah, to inner success, to really see, okay, how is my life going and what is it, what can I improve or what is it that I can do better? It's like companies, yeah, companies, they always do their meetings to see, okay, where they are, yeah, and what they should do better, yeah. Otherwise, if a company would never do that, there would maybe doesn't exist for long, right? And I think we can do the same, like having really check-ins with ourselves in a regular basis. This is what, when I start a coaching session, I have as well a free workshop, and I start with that. So check in, yeah, see, okay, which area is there that I can improve, and then step by step, you work through it.
Yeah. So having this level of self awareness and self assessment. So like know where you are so you can get where you're going, right? Then have a strategy and a plan. Does that sound about right?
Mhm. Mhm. Yes, absolutely. As you said, you have to know where you are, and then you have to find out where you want to go, and then a plan is really important, because without a plan there's no destination. We need a plan, actually. I think that's really important too. I believe that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I find that there's a lot of foundational principles that work for everyone, right? But of course, health is such a personalized journey, right? And there's so many different
Yeah.
things that we need to work on, so many different nuances, depending on your state of health, your goals, your mind, like everything, right? And just
Hmm.
being able to, filter that through someone who's walked the path is so important. And just being
Hmm.
able to, have a guide, right? Going back to that, but
Hmm.
the foundational
Hmm.
principles and just like if you
Hmm.
want to master anything, you have to go back to fundamentals and then kind of personalize it as you go.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yes. I mean, I I think a guide, it's like, oh, I can't tell you. Sorry, I just missed the last sentence. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, for sure. Do you find that some people, when they go along their path in terms of wellness, that they almost don't want to tell someone about what they're going through? Like it's almost kind of like maybe they're holding on to shame or whatever it is, like, and it kind of holds them back in that process.
What do you mean exactly? Do you have an example?
Yeah, so maybe someone's going through a health issue, but they don't want to tell their family about it,
Mm-hmm.
and they're kind of going through their own
Ah, okay.
struggles. They're not asking for help. Do you ever come across that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, I think I mean, it's actually really important to ask for help if you not feel comfortable to talk about it with your family and friends. Definitely look for someone else that can help you, like a coach,
Yeah, because
because yeah, it's really difficult to go through this difficult situation alone. I think it's important to have support, because especially if you are feeling bad, right? Then you need someone that is talking with you, giving you the right mindset with the right direction.
for sure, I find that it's not the solution doesn't exist. It's so that we're not receptive to the solution, meaning that we ask these disempowering questions.
Mm.
And a lot of times we just operate out of old paradigms. Like, this is the way it's always been, so this is the way it will always be, right? And like going back to belief, we have to
Mm-hmm.
believe that it's possible. We have to believe that we can get well. And we start to shift the question within us, and we start to open up our mind to these different possibilities.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do you find that, going along this path, that we're coming from it almost from a place of victimhood in a sense? Like, we're not feeling like it's possible. We're not feeling like it's, something we can actually accomplish and make progress on at all.
Yeah, yeah, I think many people think like that. Um, and this is what I mentioned in the beginning, especially if you feel like that you think you are not capable of doing things, then start with one thing, only one thing, with small steps. And when you are able to do one thing, then you believe more in yourself, and then you can do more.
For sure,
Because
I
if
like
you do
that.
nothing, nothing will happen, right? So you have to start with one thing. And I always say movement is the best way. It's the way out. Or if you have a difficult situation in your life.
Yeah. It's making it simple, as you mentioned, because we overcomplicate things and we end up getting nothing done, right? So we just focus on those small things and just make progress within that.
Mm.
And once you kind of got that down, you got the habit, and it's all good, then move to the next thing, and that's how you make progress. That's how you build that
Yeah,
momentum.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. I mean, many people think big, which is nice. Think big, but act small. It's like if you want run a marathon, you have to start, and you start with mini steps, and then you will get there.
Yes, like keep the big picture in mind, right? Think big, as you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
have
Mm-hmm.
these big goals, right? But
Mm-hmm.
focus on the present moment and work as
Mm-hmm.
you go, right? And
Yeah.
work while you wait. It's like making these small progresses. It may not seem like a lot, but if we keep doing this on a consistent basis, going back to consistency, we're going to see these small wins stack up over
Mm-hmm.
time, and then we're going to definitely reach our goals that we have.
Yeah, yeah. I think what helps as well being with like-minded people, people that have the same dreams and the same goal as you. So as we said earlier, like it's important to have a coach or to have someone that have been already there, then we go faster. And I think we go faster as well if we have in our environment people that support us. I think that's a really important
For,
fact.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we got to trust the process, right? And just have faith that things all work out in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And because even if things aren't exactly how we want them to be, like we can
Mm-hmm.
just keep taking that progressive action, right? Just being generative in what we do and like thinking holistically. So incorporating
Mm-hmm.
everything in terms of wellness. But again,
Mm-hmm.
it's about making the small wins and not being perfect. And just doing what we can in the moment. Understanding it's always a process and it's always going to be a journey at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you do it often enough, then you will reach your destination. It's like if you want a six pack, you have to train for it, and for sure you will get there
Yeah,
if you get going. Yeah, yeah. We always have to get going. There are many people that say, "Oh, yes, I tried, but it didn't work." Yes, then try again. So I tried my yoga and meditation journey many times, and I really didn't like it. I really didn't like it, and I just tried again, 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 again until I loved it, and I became actually a yoga teacher.
I love that. Yeah, we just give up so many times before we actually reach our goals. I find, and if we just gotta keep putting one foot in front of the other and just keep going and
Mm-hmm.
understand that you know going back to it's always a process. Meaning like once we reach those goals, like
Mm-hmm.
there's I feel like the paradox of success is to accept where you are, but always strive for more, right? Because that's kind of
Yeah.
like the nature of life is growth, right? Growth and service, but always like enjoy this moment because that's all you have, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
kind of something to think about.
Yeah, enjoying the journey, absolutely. Yes, and to not rush everything. Because, yeah, as you said, like the present moment is a present, it's a gift, and we have to enjoy it.
For sure.
Because it will never come back. Because, yeah, like many people are afraid to spend money, but I think money comes and goes. But you will never get your time back, never. So it's better to pay someone, that you reach your goal faster than stay stuck and reaching your goal maybe many years later. So this is what I learned because I had this mindset now I can do everything alone, but yeah, it's harder and it takes more time. So it's better to have someone.
Yeah. So when people are going along this path, they're going through challenges and obstacles. Like, do you have any methods for them to kind of go beyond that? Because I feel like coaching is really a lot of it is looking at the lifestyle factors and the blocks that people have to actually taking action. Do you have any methods for
Mhm.
that in particular?
To take action, you mean?
So if we're coming against like roadblocks or obstacles that we just don't really know how to handle, is there
Mhm.
anything that you kind of recommend to kind of move past those challenges in a more intelligent manner?
Mhm. I would say if you have an obstacle and you don't know how to go out of this, see, like, check who is there already. Maybe, I mean, everything what we do or all the problems that we have, they are. there have been other people that had the same obstacle and the same problems, just checking around you and asking. Yeah, I think many people are really afraid to ask, but I think this is really important. Maybe asking a person that have been through it already. Because if a
Definitely.
person have been through it already, then you know, okay, if she overcome it, then I can overcome it too. Yeah, because if she or he can do it, I can do it too. So this could be something that people can do.
For sure. Yeah, just looking for examples of people who have healed, right? Looking for examples of possibility. Like,
Mm-hmm.
look for evidence that these things are
Mm-hmm.
possible instead of
Mm-hmm.
evidence that they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like taking that positive,
Yeah,
generative action every single day.
yeah, and I mean nowadays with social media, I mean, look, I mean, there's a negative part, right? But there's as well a positive part. So there are people they're talking about struggle, yeah, and I think that's nice to see because you can see, okay, I'm not the only one struggling. There are as well other people struggling.
Yeah. How do we start to build momentum in our health journeys, right? Because once we start to learn these processes and almost like filter information, right? Because a lot of times I find that people they don't know how to handle all the information about wellness. Like they get confused and all these things. A lot of times I hear like they say so many different things, and I don't know what to believe, right? And I like to say it always comes back to you, like listening back to your inner
Mm-hmm.
guidance and kind of filtering decisions through that. Like, what are your thoughts?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the same. Always listen to yourself, and that's the point. If you know, if you spend much time with yourself, if you know who you are, then you know exactly who you are. So you're not confused because you know who you are, you know what you want, and nothing can confuse you.
I love that. Yeah, finding
But
who
if
you
you
are and
don't
knowing
know who you are and what you want, mm,
right. Because once you do that, once you have like these standards that you live by, you don't really get pulled away by things that aren't in alignment with you, right? And knowing what you want, it's a
mm,
process, right? And a lot of us, we don't give ourselves permission to
mm,
go for what we really want in life. That's unfortunate because then we kind of
mm,
like end up with regret and all these different things, and you don't want that.
mm, mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Yes. You know, check in with yourself, find out what you want, and go for it. Because you live only on one time, right? So you have to live the best life that you can live.
Right. How do we find out what we want? Because I find many of us we don't really know, or we don't think we can get it, right? So we're just kind of like living off of what people have told us or what we think we're supposed to do. We're not really being authentic in our own lives.
Mm-hmm. How do you be authentic, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess yes, but also into alignment with what we actually want in life, as opposed to doing what we think we're supposed to do.
Well, by starting, yeah, I think everything goes back to check in with yourself.
Definitely, like checking in, like and kind of like listening to the inner guidance, right?
Yeah, listen to your inner guidance, spending so much time with yourself that you know yourself better than your best friend. Because often we know better our best friend than we know ourselves. If you ever had a situation that you needed an advice from your friend, and then you tell them the story, and he says, "Yes, do this," and then you say, "Oh my God, you know me better than I know myself." And that's the point. I think many people know better the friends that they know themselves. So know yourself is like the key.
For sure. How do we distinguish between our inner guidance and fear? Like, how do we know which voice is which? Right? Because a lot of times it's fear, right? And we
Mhm.
mistake it for the truth. Like, how can we kind of discern that
Mhm.
within ourselves?
I think, I mean, there is no fearless person. I don't think that there's one person that is completely fearless. I have so many situations. I have my fears always with me. But when you go through it, yeah, then it doesn't disappear. It will always be there. But it becomes you don't hear it so loud anymore. I mean, we have to see fear as a friend and not as an enemy, because fear is part of our story. Fear will always be there. But the more we stay stuck and we don't do the thing, the the more fear we will have. So we can only go through it when we just do it, yeah? Feel the fear and do it anyway. So what I did, for example, is to give myself another name when I started my journey. So a close friend of mine was suggesting me that. He said, why you don't give yourself another name? And giving myself another name, I stepped into a new identity. A person, like a woman that is strong, that is capable of everything, that a woman that doesn't have fear and can do everything what she wants. So every time when I was going through a difficult situation, I was telling myself silently, so I'm Kat. Yeah, I can do this. I can do everything I want. And this helped me to go through difficult situation. And then I realized that many famous people do that, like Elton John, Prince, Lady Gaga, Muhammad Ali, and many others have done the same to step into their real power. So this is something that you can do, like shifting identity.
Very fascinating. Yeah, when it comes to fear, like as you mentioned, it's not that we don't have fear. It's about having that fear and doing that thing anyways. Like courage can't really exist in the absence of fear. And
Mm-hmm.
it's about navigating in a skillful manner, right? Understanding our dispositions to things, our tendencies, like really getting to know who we are. And going back
Mm-hmm.
to that is like then we kind of move forward in a more skillful manner and not letting it hold us back, but we can utilize it to grow as a growth tactic, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, fear will always everything that we don't know, everything what is new, everything that is out of our comfort zone. We are always afraid, right? We are always like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do that. But then you just do it, and then you see, oh my God, why I had so much fear for many years, and at the end, it's so easy to do it. I mean, I had the fear to move from Germany to, I was living in Germany many years, and I moved from Germany to Barcelona, and I did it alone. I didn't know any person in Barcelona. I left my job, I left my close friends, I left my family, and I just did it. And you know what I think now? The only thing that I think why I didn't do it before, I waited 20 years to move. It was the best decision of my life, moving from Germany to Spain. And I really asking myself why I had so much fear, why I didn't do it before. That's the only question that I'm asking myself now, you know. And at the end, if you move and you don't like the city, you are not a tree. You can go back or you can move to another country. But we always think everything, if we do something, then we are a failure if we go back, or if, I don't know, there are so many negative thoughts that are holding us back to do the things. But I think the way to live life is just to do the thing. If you have a wish, if you're not happy with your life, how it's going, then you have to do something else. Because if you always do the same, your life will stay the same. So you have to do different things.
Exactly. Like learning the process of growth is really important. Like knowing
Mm,
like our tendencies and how we actually start that process, right? Because there's so many different things that we can go into within that, but being able to understand what we want and moving forward with that, right? Because a lot of us, when we go forward on this growth path, we kind of come up against these things and ways of being, but we don't understand that, fear, it's about knowing it, right? Like
mm,
KNOW. Once you start to understand it and you don't really have it as pronounced in your life, so we can move forward that it makes sense for us, right? So we're not like
mm,
pushing ourselves too much, but we're within this growth zone, right?
Yeah, I mean, grow is where life happens. Yeah, I mean, if we stay where we are, then it's getting boring. So what is exciting is the fact that we move forward, that we grow as a person.
For sure. I find that, once
And
we do
yeah,
that,
yeah, I always say do, yeah. Hmm.
yeah, like I find that
Yeah,
once
go
we,
ahead. Sorry.
yeah, so once we go along that path of growth, it's like we start to discover who we are, right? And it's always going to be a journey. And as opposed to just sitting on the sidelines in our own life, just get in the game. It's not about being perfect. Just start making those small steps, as we mentioned, right?
Hmm.
And you
Hmm.
start to build this momentum within yourself, and you actually find out what you want, and you start to optimize your life, right? Becoming the greatest version of yourself. It's about health, of course, but then it's everything. It's
Hmm.
wealth, relationships, all these things that all act in synergy, right? And everything affects each other.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like optimize
Hmm.
these things as much as we can.
Yeah, yeah. And the more you wait, the more your fear will grow. You don't grow, your fear will grow. And this is not something that you want. You want to grow as a person. You don't want that your fear becomes bigger.
I like that.
And it's
Yeah.
like if you stay stuck in something and you don't move forward, sometimes you stay stuck like forever. Yeah, because your fear is so big that you can't see the opportunity. You just see the fear. And that's the worst thing ever.
Right. Yeah. Stagnant energy breeds pollution, right? So we're just kind of
Mm,
like this. We walk around this, stagnant state, but it's like life is about movement, like
mm,
it's about motion, and
mm-hmm,
life doesn't really give you what you want if you're just stagnant because it really can't. Like you kind of
mm.
have to do something, take action.
Yeah, and I mean, you will do mistakes, and not everything what you do will be the right thing to do, right? But we learn from our mistakes. But if you don't do the thing, you will never know. So I mean, before I moved to Barcelona, I moved to Italy, and it was not for me. So I moved back, yeah, and then I moved to Barcelona, and that was the right place. But it doesn't mean because you make a movement and it doesn't work that it's over. No, it's not over. Then you do another move, yeah, and you move and you do so many moves until you reach the destination that you want to, the life that you want to live.
Exactly. It's always a learning process. Like giving yourself permission to make mistakes, right? And
Mm-hmm.
understanding that failure is feedback, right? It's such a learning process. Like utilizing failure in a way that you learn from it, right? As opposed to just saying, this is the way it is. Like, no, it's actually showing you how to do things differently.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's what you say. It's showing you how you do, how you can do things differently. Then you know, okay, this doesn't work. I have to do something else.
Yeah,
But it's important to learn from our mistakes because if we don't learn from our mistakes, we will repeat them over and over and over again. And that's not smart. So if you do mistakes, yes, do it, but always learn from it.
100%. Yeah, because we have these goals, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I often say, don't change the goal, change the approach. Just because this
Mm-hmm.
thing didn't work the way
Mm-hmm.
that you did it, adjust it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, don't make excuses, make adjustments. And just being able to
Yes.
navigate that path, right? And just kind of learn as you
Mm-hmm.
go and
Mm-hmm.
know that if something is no longer in alignment with you and what you want,
Mm-hmm.
then of course, like, give yourself permission to change. But if it's something that you really want in your heart, you guys got to keep on going and
Mm-hmm.
find a way.
Yeah. 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 Find a way. And I think as well, if you have one idea, just act on it, you know. So do it with your friends, do it with your family, but just do it because you learn through the process. You don't learn if you think about it. If you think about it, it will stay in your mind forever. So you have to, because sometimes we have an idea and sometimes it's really a bad idea, but you don't know if it's a good or bad idea if it stays in your mind. You just know it if you try it out.
Yeah. Living in alignment with your own path is key for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, how do you recommend we start to live in more within alignment, right? Because when it comes to our goals, like we practice all these things, but sometimes we don't really calibrate our inner world in a sense to actually what we want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any methods that you utilize or think about when it comes to actually becoming in alignment with the life that you want to live?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, becoming in alignment with the life you want to live, you're you have to do the things that you want to do. And you have to spend time with the people that you want to spend time with. You have to live in the city that you would like to live with. I mean, I was living in Germany and I really love my friends, my family, but I was not in alignment. So I didn't like my environment. Yeah, so I needed to make that change. Yeah, to move to a place where I really want to be. Like I always wanted to be in a place where I have the sun, where I have the beach, and where the people are like in a good mood and so on. And I think to be in alignment, yes, you have to find your place. Like your environment is important. Yes, you have to do the things that you really want to do, and yeah, it like spending time with people as well. People gives you energy or takes you energy, and yeah, it's a process. Yeah, so start with one thing, and then you adjust the other to be in alignment with yourself. And yeah, self connection. Yeah, to have a self connection, self reflection, the right mindset. This is really important too, to have alignment. Yeah, yeah.
I love that. Yeah. It's always a process.
Mm, it is. It is.
All right, Kat. This has been awesome. I appreciate you so much for coming on the show today, sharing your story with us, all your insights, especially about yoga when it's such a valuable tool for people, and just getting to know what that is and start to integrate it in our own lives if it fits for us, right? And kind of learning about ourselves through that, right? It's like learning about who we are through all these tools and all these methods, and we
Mm-hmm.
start to adapt a mindset that really helps us become the greatest version of us. So again, I appreciate you so much for coming on the show, and I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so if people want to get connected with you or your work, where can we find you?
They can find me on my website. It's catsyoga.com, or in my Instagram account. It's cat.anselmo. And if you are listening to this and you're feeling stuck or you need a new direction, then you can join my free workshop. It's an online video self-paced course where I guide people through 3 steps to break through feeling stuck.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.